If this film makes you realize something, is that some people just don't know when a relationship is not gonna work out. Working as a prequel to the anime series, we follow Yuta Okkotsu, who is a nervous high school student who is suffering from a serious problem. His childhood girlfriend Rika has turned into a curse and won't leave him alone, to the point where she will lash out and attack others who bully Yuta or make him nervous in some regard, until Gojo notices him and incites him to join Jujutsu High so he can learn to control Rika. But before I properly start with my review for Jujutsu Kaisen 0, I want you to start the conversation about it in the comments below. Are you watching the show? Have you read the manga? Are you excited for this film? Anything and everything down there. And if you like movies and TV, this is the place to be, so consider clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. I actually got into the show quite recently, even before knowing that a film was coming out, and I gotta say that this film works really well as an introductory point to the series. If you have never seen a single episode of the show, I would actually say start with the film, because it even helps in not knowing the fate of some characters. Mappa is once again the studio behind the animation, and they do a tremendous job. The show already in itself looks fantastic, but there's a really nice upgrade whenever you go to the big screen, whether you have these big swooping shots, these tracking, panning shots following the action without cutting whatsoever. You're able to just feast your eyes on the gorgeous action, on the characters, and storytelling-wise follow in their perspective, which is really great. So on a visual standpoint, not only does this sport great animation, it's great on a cinematography standpoint, but this in many ways is also a horror film. If you're thinking of bringing some kids into this, maybe not the best idea. Jujutsu Kaisen in itself is in many ways a horror show dealing with curses and exorcisms and all that. It has some gnarly visuals in this. There's a lot of gore, a lot of blood, so just be warned, particularly with the themes that it deals with and some deaths on the screen. It's heavy imagery, and I love it for that. So for newcomers, it is very welcoming, and you get acquainted with the concepts that the series explores, and with quite a few characters that fans of the show will recognize, and just cements how much Gojo is the best character in this thing. Because when you have Gojo, whether he's being funny, whether he's kicking ass, he just steals the show completely. And something that I really enjoyed was that the film never used the supporting characters as crutches, but it simply expanded on parts of their backstories that we didn't know. Be it Maki, Panda, Toge, we get to see them a little bit more in action than we do on the show, and Gojo especially, as we explore a little bit of his youth rather quickly. And there is a ton of action to enjoy, like I talked about, but like the show itself, this film is also extremely funny. Jujutsu Kaisen has a particular sense of humor that really fits even within a story that is inherently very dark and very somber, with a ton of horror elements to it. So while it will make you terrified at points because of some really heavy topics that are discussed, some really haunting imagery, and really just very cool designed monsters, there's a sense of humor and a levity that is very well injected into the film itself. And Yuta is a very compelling character naturally. It's tough for a film to introduce not only a brand new character that if you know the show you're not acquainted with at all, but a brand new lead character nonetheless. There's just something very compelling about his affliction. The fact that he's haunted by former girlfriend that they promised themselves to each other to marry in the future, and then she dies horribly, by the way, and now he's haunted by her loss. And there's just something really touching about that, where at the core of this film you have a tragic love story. And so where this character finds himself at is just a very compelling, thematically rich place to be as a starting point to a narrative. And like I said, for fans of the show, we will see a ton of characters including Maki and Toge and Panda, who is the second best character, by the way. There's just something really nice to see this group bouncing off one another. Where I found myself most questioning things is when it came to the writing. I thought the villain took a little bit too long to get introduced. He's just too much in the background until, oh shit, we need a big third act thing, so we better introduce the villain halfway through. And despite the villain having an interesting relationship with someone that we know, he's just not very interesting himself. He has a very How from Shaman King mentality to what he wants to accomplish, and I just wish we could have inserted him better into the narrative. And with that, the film also feels like it spends the first half of its runtime setting up the world before actually getting the story started. My last issue, however, is that sadly, despite me feeling that there's a very compelling narrative to be told with Yuta, him as a character on his own, he's just not that interesting, sadly. He has a very interesting curse on him, he has a very interesting backstory, but he doesn't become an interesting character himself without the curse that he is suffering from. And these flaws aren't inherently bad, not in concept at least. I just wish they could have had another look and maybe rewrite to trim a little bit of its rougher edges, because this stuff could have worked. It just feels a little bit too disjointed when you look at it as a whole. While Jujutsu Kaisen 0 has its flaws, it creates a great entry point into the beloved anime series for newcomers. With its thrilling action, iconic horror imagery, and quirky characters and sense of humor, this is one that will please you whether you've seen the show or you're brand new into this universe. I'm giving Jujutsu Kaisen 0 a B. But those are only my thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen 0, so I want you to start the conversation in the comments below. Let me know how it compares to the show, if you read the manga, anything and everything down there. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my channel members Bruna and Stuart for making this video possible. And if you like what you saw here, make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. I'll be back very soon with more videos, and I hope to see you in those. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.